Welcome to the Breakthrough Broadcast, a podcast about innovative STEM solutions to real-world problems. From emerging technologies to practical research, Drew Reck explores how science, engineering, and bold thinking are shaping the future.
Hi, I'm Drew, and this episode is about fire. Not just the kind in a campfire or in a fireplace. I'm talking about the kind of fire that races over ridgelines, devours forests, and paints the sky orange. The kind of fire that makes people pack their lives into a car and drive away, hoping they have something left to come back to. In recent years, we've seen wildfires grow faster, burn longer, and reach places they never used to. California, Australia, Canada, even places like Greece, Chile, and Siberia. Climate change, rising temperatures, and years of fire suppression have created a dangerous feedback loop, and it's only getting worse. But here's the question we're asking today. Can artificial intelligence help us fight these fires faster, smarter, and maybe even before they start? Because while we might not be able to stop fire from happening, what if we could predict it? Or detect it within seconds? Or send up a drone that sees through the smoke and tells firefighters exactly where to go? What if code could help protect homes, ecosystems, and lives? In this episode, we're going to explore how researchers, engineers, and firefighters are teaming up with, and can start to team up with, artificial intelligence to reshape how we detect, manage, and recover from wildfires. From machine learning models that predict fire spread, to drones that scout terrain in real time, to smart sensors buried in the forest floor, this is about using technology to match the scale of the crisis. This isn't just a story about innovation. It's a story about urgency. Because every year the fires get closer, and we'll need every tool we got. Before we get into the tech, the algorithms, the sensors, and the predictive models, we need to understand the scale of the problem that AI is trying to solve. Wildfires aren't new. They're a natural part of many ecosystems. In places like California, parts of the Amazon, or Australia's eucalyptus forests, fire used to play a pivotal role in maintaining healthy land, clearing underbrush, and returning nutrients to the soil. But today's fires are different. They're hotter, faster, and they're happening in places they never used to. And they're hitting far harder when they do. In the U.S. alone, wildfires now burn more than 7 million acres each year. In 2020, California saw over 4 million acres burned in a single fire season, the worst in its recorded history. That same year, Australia's Black Summer fires scorched nearly 60 million acres, killed or displaced an estimated 3 billion animals, and choked cities with smoke for months. Why is this happening? First is climate change. Warmer temperatures dry out vegetation, turning forests into kindling. Heat waves stretch longer, rainfall becomes erratic, and when the conditions are just right, one lightning strike or spark from a campfire can start a catastrophe. Second is decades of fire suppression. We've spent a century putting out every fire as quickly as possible. That sounds smart until you realize that it's led to forests packed with dry fuel that should have burned off naturally years ago. And finally, is more people. Urban development has expanded into forested areas, creating what's known as the wildland-urban interface. This means more homes at risk, more complex evacuations, and more opportunities for fires to cause problems. Now imagine being a firefighter in this environment. You're working in extreme heat, under unpredictable wind, and surrounded by smoke. The terrain is rugged, the radio chatter is constant, you're looking at maps, satellite updates, wind readings, but all of it is scattered, delayed, and sometimes even missing. That's the gap AI is trying to fill. Because the data exists. Satellites scan the Earth, drones patrol, weather forecasts stream in by the minute. What we've lacked until now is the ability to process that data fast enough, smart enough, and enough to save time, resources, and lives. And that is where AI steps in. Let's imagine a fire hasn't started yet, not officially at least. Maybe there's a spark, a puff of smoke, a lightning strike in a dry forest hundreds of miles from the nearest town. The clock is ticking, and this is where AI can make its first, and maybe most important contribution: early detection and prediction. We'll start with satellites. Organizations like NASA already monitor the Earth's surface with high-resolution satellite imagery. These images can detect heat, smoke plumes, vegetation health, and more. But here's the problem. There's too much data. One satellite pass can produce terabytes of visual information, as much as 1,500 CDs. No human can scan all of it in real time. And that's where computer vision comes in, an AI technique that lets machines see and interpret images. Programs trained directly on thousands of past wildfires can now scan satellite feeds and automatically detect early signs of smoke, thermal anomalies, or flash droughts. Some systems even use deep learning, which is a kind of machine learning modeled loosely on the human brain. These networks don't just look for smoke, they learn patterns. They recognize how fires typically begin, how wind behaves in certain terrains, and how vegetation dries out under certain climate conditions. These programs allow computers to predict when these small sparks, lightning strikes, and campfires are most likely to actually start a tragic fire. Now let's zoom in. Drones can also collect vital data to help identify early signals of potentially tragic wildfires. Across wildfire-prone regions, AI-controlled drones are being deployed to fly over forests and scrublands, collecting real-time thermal and optical data. These drones don't just follow a pre-planned route. They adapt. They can spot a heat source from 200 feet up, recognize that it's not just the sun hitting a rock, and relay that information instantly to fire command centers. Case in point, in California, a startup called Pano AI is combining high-definition camera feeds from mountaintop stations with machine learning models that identify smoke plumes and send alerts to firefighters within minutes, sometimes even before 911 gets a call. And comes prediction. Let's say the AI system detects a heat signature and confirms that it's the start of a fire. What happens next? Now a fire spread model is activated. This is a simulation powered by machine learning that predicts where the fire is most likely to move, hour by hour, based on wind speed, humidity, elevation, fuel type, and historical fire behavior in the same area. One powerful example comes from Google AI, which has partnered with wildfire management agencies to build dynamic fire forecasting models. These models use satellite imagery, real-time weather, and land data to project fire perimeters, often with more accuracy than existing tools. Here's why that matters. When a fire starts, response teams have to make fast decisions. Where should resources go? Which towns need to evacuate first? What roads might we need to close? If AI can forecast a fire's movement 10 or even 30 minutes faster than traditional systems, that can mean the difference between saving a neighborhood and losing one. And it's already working. In 2023, an AI-based detection system helped Montana officials contain a fire within hours of ignition, a fire that might have spread for days just a few years ago, potentially saving hundreds of square miles of land. In Portugal, AI-driven camera networks helped detect 80% of wildfires before they grew to dangerous levels. But there's more. These models don't just help in the moment. Over time, they get better. Each fire they track, each outcome they learn from adds to their data set. They become smarter, more adaptive, and in theory, more effective at saving lives. Of course, these systems aren't perfect. A false alarm can waste time and money. A missed detection could be catastrophic. But compared to where we were 5 years ago, we're in a new era, where AI isn't just reacting to fires, it's anticipating them and solving problems. Unfortunately, despite these benefits, fires are bound to grow and get very problematic despite these innovations. But AI can help with that too. Once a fire is burning, it's a race against time. Flames can move at speeds up to 14 miles an hour through grasslands, and in dry, windy forests, that fire can be moving even faster. At this stage, it's not about detecting the fire, it's about managing the chaos. That's where AI steps in again, not to sound the alarm, but to direct the response. During a wildfire, multiple teams are involved. State agencies, local firefighters, federal forest services, and sometimes even the military. Each group has its own tools, maps, and priorities. The result is fragmented communication, and ultimately, slower response. But AI can act as a central nervous system, an intelligent dashboard that collects, analyzes, and distributes data in real time. Take the fire map system, used by a business called Cal Fire in parts of California. It fuses satellite imagery, drone data, firefighter GPS locations, live weather conditions, and even social media reports. All of that gets processed by an algorithm that prioritizes risk zones, highlights evacuation routes, and suggests where to allocate air tankers, ground crews, and bulldozers. FireMap isn't replacing human judgment, it's amplifying it. Now let's talk about vision. One of the most dangerous parts of a wildfire isn't what you see, it's what you don't. Flames can leap ridges, winds can shift in seconds. Dense smoke can hide fire lines, making aerial operations and ground navigation incredibly risky. That's why thermal drones powered by AI are game changers. These drones fly above the fire, feeding live infrared imagery back into command. But they don't just send video. AI models trained to recognize hotspots, flare-ups, and fire edges process that footage in real time, generating dynamic maps that show where the fire is strongest, where it's likely to spread, and where firefighters need to put their focus. In some cases, AI even directs the drones autonomously. It decides where to fly next, based on heat signatures and terrain risk, meaning that AI is not only interpreting the information, but gathering it with maximum efficiency as well. Here's a real-world example. In 2022, during a major blaze in Oregon, AI-enhanced drones helped first responders identify a break in the fire line minutes before it was about to spread downhill into a populated area. They dropped fire retardant from the air just in time, likely preventing the loss of an entire community. AI's role doesn't just stop at the skies. On the ground, researchers are experimenting with autonomous firefighting vehicles. Think of them as fireproof, AI-guided rovers that can cut fire breaks, lay down hoses, or drop suppressant in dangerous zones where it's too risky to send people. These are still in development, but early tests show promise for use in nighttime operations when visibility is low and human fatigue is high. There's also innovation in communications. During major fires, cell networks often go down. To keep firefighters connected, some agencies are turning to AI-powered mesh networks. Smart, self-organizing communication systems that reroute signals around down towers and dynamically prioritize emergency traffic. All of this comes together in a real-time decision system that, if used properly, can mean smarter evacuations, faster containment, and fewer lives lost. Of course, AI doesn't always get it right. A drone might miss a hotspot. A model might over-prioritize one area and under-prioritize another. But here's the truth. The scale and speed of modern fires require more than just human instinct and experience. They require data, and they require help making sense of it. In that sense, AI isn't replacing firefighters, it's becoming a vital member of the team. Again, unfortunate as it is, fires are likely to cause massive problems, despite all of the work that firefighters, average people, and computers put in. But AI can help with the recovery process as well. When a fire is finally contained, the danger isn't over. The fire line might be quiet, but the land is scarred. Homes are gone, trees are blackened skeletons, and beneath the ash, entire ecosystems are struggling to survive. Now, the work of recovery begins. The first priority is damage assessment. Traditionally, this means teams of specialists flying over burn zones, hiking through rubble, and manually recording what's been destroyed. It's slow, dangerous, and in the face of massive fires, it's often uncompletable. AI can make this process faster, safer, and more comprehensive. Using post-fire satellite imagery and drone footage, AI-powered systems can automatically classify burn severity across huge areas, from mild surface scorching to deep canopy loss. These systems use computer vision to map changes in vegetation, soil exposure, and terrain reflectivity, comparing pre- and post-fire images in seconds. In California, for example, AI was used after the 2021 Dixie Fire to rapidly map infrastructure damage, identifying which roads were compromised, which homes were still standing, and which areas needed emergency erosion control before the next rainstorm to prevent even larger problems. That last point is key. After a fire, the land is vulnerable. Without plant roots to hold the soil, even light rainfall can lead to mudslides and flash flooding. AI models help to predict which slopes are at greatest risk, giving communities a chance to intervene before the next disaster hits. But AI's role doesn't stop at damage control. It's also helping with ecological restoration. Some research groups are using machine learning to model how forests regenerate after fire, helping conservationists decide where to replant, which species to prioritize, and how to track recovery over time. AI can even use acoustic monitoring, which is listening for the return of birds, frogs, or insects to measure ecosystem health invisibly and continuously. And all of this data feeds back into the system. The more we understand how fire behaves, damages, and heals, the more we can improve and develop ourselves and our computers to be as prepared as possible for next time. So what's next? If AI can already detect fires early, help fight them, and assess the damage, what does the future hold for preventing wildfires before they start? Enter the era of smart forests. Imagine a forest embedded with thousands of tiny sensors, hidden in the soil, clinging to trees, perched on branches. These sensors measure moisture levels, temperature, wind speed, and even subtle chemical changes in the air. This isn't science fiction. It's already helping in pilot projects and laboratories around the world. These IoT, or Internet of Things devices, constantly feed data into AI systems that monitor forest health in real time. If moisture drops below a critical threshold, or smoke particles spike, alerts go out instantly to firefighters and forest managers. But the data goes beyond spotting danger. AI can analyze long-term trends, identifying areas where vegetation is unusually dry or stressed. Forest managers can then target controlled burns, thinning, or replanting efforts precisely where they'll have the biggest impact, reducing fuel loads before the fire season even begins. And this goes hand in hand with AI-powered simulations. Instead of relying solely on historical patterns, AI can run hundreds or thousands of virtual fire scenarios, testing how different management strategies might play out across a landscape. This helps planners optimize where to build fire breaks, how to design communities, and when to deploy resources. Like before, there is exciting work in bioacoustics, using AI to listen to the forest itself. Subtle changes in bird songs, insect activity, or tree vibrations can signal environmental stress before it becomes visible. Machine learning algorithms trained on these sounds may one day provide an early warning system that is completely natural and non-invasive. Of course, none of this comes without challenges. AI is a powerful tool, but it needs to be part of a broader strategy, one that includes climate action, community engagement, and smart land policies. Still, the potential is huge. In the near future, forests won't just burn and recover, they'll talk to us. They'll tell us when they're thirsty, stressed, or in danger. And together, we'll work to keep them, and ourselves, safer. As promising as AI sounds, especially for this specific application, it's important to remember that it's not a silver bullet. There are real limitations and ethical questions we need to consider. First, data quality and bias. AI systems are only as good as the data they're trained on. If a region lacks detailed weather or vegetation data, the AI's predictions will be less accurate, or even dangerously misleading. This creates a gap between well-funded areas and under-resourced communities, often leaving the most vulnerable at greater risk. Then there's the problem of false alarms and misdetections. A false positive, like an AI mistakenly flagging a harmless smoke plume as a wildfire, can waste precious resources or cause unnecessary panic. Conversely, a false negative, missing an actual fire, could mean disaster. Balancing sensitivity and specificity in these models is a constant challenge. Another concern is over-reliance on technology. Firefighters and emergency managers need to trust their AI tools, but not blindly. Technology should augment human experience, not replace it. The final decisions in high-stakes, rapidly changing environments must remain in human hands. There's also privacy and surveillance issues. Deploying sensor networks and AI monitoring systems over large areas, including private lands, raises questions about who owns the data and how it's used. Transparency and consent are crucial to avoid misuse or unintended consequences. Lastly, the cost and accessibility of AI tools can widen the divide between regions with resources and those without. Ensuring equitable access to AI technology will be essential to avoid reinforcing existing inequality. Despite these challenges, the potential benefits are too significant to ignore. With careful design, oversight, and collaboration, AI can become a powerful tool in managing one of the most urgent threats of our time. Artificial intelligence is transforming the way we understand and respond to wildfires. From spotting the earliest signs of smoke, to guiding firefighting teams on the ground, to helping ecosystems recover after the flames have passed, AI is becoming an essential partner in this fight. But technology alone can't solve the wildfire crisis. It requires collaboration between scientists, firefighters, policymakers, and communities. It means investing in research, deploying smart tools responsibly, and making sure these innovations reach the places they need them the most. As individuals, we can support this progress by staying informed and advocating for better wildlife preparedness and climate action. The future of wildfire management depends on embracing smarter, data-driven solutions, and on our collective commitment to protecting people and the environment. The challenges are immense, but so is our potential to rise to them. By harnessing AI's power thoughtfully and ethically, we have a chance to save lives, reduce destruction, and build more resilient landscapes.
Thanks for tuning in to the Breakthrough broadcast. If today's conversation sparked a new idea, share the episode and follow the show wherever you listen. Got a question, idea, or breakthrough of your own? Reach out at breakthroughbroadcastconnect@gmail.com. Until next time, keep questioning, keep building, and don't wait for the future. Help create it.